It's back to school time and many have already started. Lorelei Chavez, who happens to be my sister, teaches at Santo Domingo Pueblo Elementary and Middle School in New Mexico. Here she is with advice for all generations.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Lorelei Chavez. I am currently working at Santo Domingo School within Bernalillo Public Schools, and this year I'm teaching middle school social studies.
You just started school. Tell us what you are observing in the behaviors of your students this year.
So a lot of the things I'm seeing is I'm seeing excitement. I'm seeing excitement. I have kids coming. This is my third year I'm teaching them. So going from sixth grade to eighth grade, they're ready to be the seniors of the middle school. I see nervousness. I see kids who are nervous about taking off their masks for the first time. We're going back into full settings of school, and we do have availability for masks, but really feeling comfortable with their body and their faces that they haven't shown the world in 3 years. And then another thing I'm seeing is a little bit of anxiousness as far as what friends am I going to make? Who's my new teacher? There are new students coming to my school. Maybe I'm going to a new school. And so I do see those little bits of anxiousness as our students are getting off the bus, heading to their classrooms. But I'm really excited and I'm ready to bring my positive behavior to counteract any anxiousness or nervousness that they may have.
We know that confidence in kids and teens plays a huge role in their lives. What is something that parents can do in order to make their kids feel confident going back to school?
The biggest thing I think parents can do is one, give your student positive affirmations. It's really important to remind them that they are the future of our generations, especially Indigenous youth. Indigenous youth want to be known they are loved, they are heard, they are cared for. So, really waking up every day and saying, you're going to do a great job in school today. No matter how hard you try, your best is all we need for you to give today. Different types of positive affirmations to start their day off right. Other things you can do is continue those things throughout the year. Some kids take lunch boxes, but even putting positive notes, having quotes or bringing educators into their life from your community. So any elders who've gone to college, but really bringing their voice into their students and reminding them that education is the catalyst for the future.
Virtually everyone has a phone, especially elementary school kids, middle school kids, high school kids. What online safety tips do you look out for?
So at our school, we are implementing our second year of no cell phone policy. So during the day, our students are checking their cell phone to their homeroom teacher. Throughout the day, they don't have access to their phone, and then they get it before they get back on the bus. Our biggest issue moving into that was parents were afraid with between school safety and COVID. Our parents use those cell phones to make contact with their students at any time of the day. So, really reassuring parents in your community that they still can have access to their student anytime during the day through the school office or through school personnel. The second piece is really talking to your student about being a responsible cell phone owner, really showing them what's appropriate cell phone time usage, what is not appropriate. And that may even lead to having more conversations within your family and with parents as far as how do we set boundaries with technology and how do we have a good relationship with technology? Because as much as we don't want to admit it, technology is going to be a relative of ours and we have to practice kinship with technology. So just really being conscious of that and approaching it with that mindset.
We know that lots of urban Native American kids are heading back to school. What message would you have for those students who might be a little nervous to walk into a classroom where they're the only Native student or they don't see Native teachers in their hallways?
You do not have to hold the entire Indigenous world on your shoulders. What you do is you bring your beautiful understandings, you bring your language, you bring whatever Indigenous capacity you have to the school, and that's all you need to be. The hardest part within schools across the country is there's not enough teacher resources or training to teach maybe non-native or teachers that have not taught Indigenous students before. How do you show up for Indigenous students? How to not offend, how to not celebrate things like the typical Thanksgiving narrative, and really honoring things like land back, land acknowledgement, current issues Indigenous communities. Other things urban Native students can do is make connection to urban Indigenous communities. All throughout America, our Indigenous peoples have been relocated, but we have found ways to connect in big cities and create spaces where we feel at home and feel connected. So not only can you seek those in your big cities or the urban areas that you live, but you can also recreate those spaces within your school. So starting a Native American club, starting any type of Indigenous programming or initiatives at your school is something you can take on that will not only help you, but maybe help out another Indigenous students that didn't know or maybe needed the same kind of help that you do.
Last year, I asked you if you had a message for your fellow Indigenous educators, so I'll ask you the same thing again this year.
I want to first start with honoring yourself, your mind, your body, and your soul. As Indigenous educators, we show up every day and we give our entire energy, our love, our grace to all our students. And the hardest part is really taking that moment or taking that time to pour back into yourself. So whether it's you're taking 5 minutes to go feel the rays of the sun on your body, or you go outside and you take a deep breath of Mother Earth's air, and that's what sustains you or gives you a little bit of peace and healing to keep you going through your day, doing things on the weekend to help you feel better and feel ready to go back each week and be the best teacher that we can be for our students. And I say that because I know in our schools, we spend a lot of time thinking about student SEL, but we don't spend a lot of time on teacher SEL. And so it is hard, but we do have to take that capacity in our hands and try our best to do the things that we can do so that we can show up and be those amazing, influential, important Indigenous teachers that are in our schools across the nation and across the world.
Well, my beautiful sister, I am so proud of you, and I hope that you have the very best school year. Thank you so much for taking the time to join the ICT newscast today.
I appreciate your time. Thank you for having me. And back to school, teachers. Have a great year.
ICT's Stuart Huntington has been back east to see family and report from tribal nations we often don't hear about. He visited Wabanaki territory where ancient traditions are growing strong again, and nowhere is that more visible than at the Passamaquoddy Day celebration on the Passamaquoddy Reservation. For nearly 6 decades, the people of the Dawn have used the growing event as an annual touchstone for their culture and lifeways.
Tribal citizens and non-tribal citizens gathered along the Passamaquoddy Nation shore for drums, dances, and smiles. But the day also had deep meaning.
It's very significant to our people because we're handing down songs, stories, and ceremonies, and we're passing it on from one generation to the other.
That was Dwayne Tomah, who, as director of the Passamaquoddy Tribal Museum in SIPAYIK, is dedicated to preserving, nourishing, and rejuvenating his nation's culture.
It's really important for us to gather, to come together, and to be able to unite our people and all people. So we invite everyone to come to celebrate with us, to share some of the songs, the stories. So it's really an opportunity for us to build relationships with one another.
And also, says Alberta Newell, to reconnect.
It's to heal and to commune with the ancestors and pray for goodness for our families and our friends and our community. It gives us time to family, friends, people we haven't seen all year that come together, especially COVID, that can come together and we can just reconnect and meet all the new babies and meet all the new spouses, or even grieve for those who have passed on. So to me, it's all about family. The whole Passamaquoddy Days is about family. And being with friends and having good thoughts and eating and dancing and singing and drumming and just being with everybody. That's what I find important.
The celebration has grown over the years and now kicks off with an overnight Ancestors paddle canoe journey from the nation's northern territory at Indian Township down to its seaside lands in SIPAYIK. It's a special time, says Passamaquoddy Chief Rena Newell.
It's a spiritual journey, certainly. I think we have to be mindful of the history and the significance of that paddle. And we have connections to our ancestors. And this particular paddle brought blessings along the way in being able to see 14 eagles join us along the route.
The paddle is also a way to reconnect with and revitalize ancient and sturdy traditions, says organizer Lolar.
It's just part of who I am and what my culture is. As a Penobscot tribal citizen, I'm on the water ever since I was a little kid. Birch bark canoes, warrior canoes, kayaks, you name it. We're always on the river, and that's just part of who we are. Before colonization, this was our highways. The waterways were our highways. Anywhere you went, there was a birch bark canoe ready to go. And you had language keepers, you had knowledge keepers keeping us alive and running from point to point on the rivers, on the lakes, on the oceans. So that's why it's so important that we get these going again, so that the nations are then communicating with each other again, getting to know each other, getting the elders to share knowledge that has been sleeping for a while. And myself and others, it's our responsibility to bring that back out and do the work.
And restore the reach of the people of the Dawnland.
Actually, that's Canada right there, and this bay is named the Passamaquoddy Bay. So we have a deep relationship and a connection to the ocean. So the water is very sacred to our people. According to us, it's been handed down since time immemorial that, that is Passamaquoddy territory. So that political border, and that's exactly what it is, it's a political border. So we don't recognize that political border. We have to deal with it all the time. It's just an ongoing process to be able to, work with these officials regarding the border.